Welcome to Python Basics with EJD. We're still talking about object-oriented programming, and the zoom is on class and static methods in object-oriented programming. So we have class methods and we have static methods. So the goal here is to explore different method types in Python, understand their rules, and learn when and how to use instance methods, class methods, and static methods. So the first question would be, what are methods? And we see that methods are functions defined inside a class. They are functions defined inside a class. They define the behavior of objects and classes. So Python supports three main kinds of methods. You have instance methods, which operate on individual objects. We have class methods, which operate on the class as a whole. And we have static methods, which are general utilities grouped under a class. So each has a different first argument. For instance, you need self. We have been using this self thing a lot, right? So when you say self dot the argument equals the argument, then we have the CLS, which is class, and we have the none, which is independent. Okay, so imagine for instance methods now. I guess this didn't have to be here. I can get rid of that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we have it now. So for instance methods, this is the most common type of method, and it always takes self as the first parameter. Self. So it will always take self because that self now you need that self to call the arguments. So it is used to access instance attributes. So and modify instance attributes and also call other instance methods. So the syntax is simply this. You have class, my class, whatever that class is. So specific name. Then you have define the instance method now. You have self, first of all. So because it always takes self as the first parameter. And then you have the first argument, the second argument. And then you have code using self attributes and pass. Anytime you use pass, you're simply saying that the class is not doing any job, right? But this is just to show you what that looks like. First of all, a very good example will be this now. You have a class called student, and then you have the initialize, you have the self argument, and you have the name and grade, which are the actual one. So you now have self dot name equals name, self dot grade equals grade, right? Then you define another function called a function under the class called display. And here, what this is going to do is say return student, whatever the name is, student, the name, grade, the grade of the student, which is called from here. And then we can also have update grade. You have self and new grade. So self dot grade is now whatever new grade you supply, you now have that here. So of course, you don't forget to run. So we have that. Once you see this check, this green check, you see it has been run. So what is the role of the self? You've been seeing self a lot. I think I talked about it in a previous video, but I think this is another opportunity to see. So the role of self, it refers to the current object calling the method. So self refers to the current object calling the method, and it allows each object to maintain its own independent state, right? And it is passed automatically when calling a method. So you see, anytime you call a class, at least you're going to have that self thing right there. Okay, imagine this whole thing, this student class we declared here with two functions apart from the initialization. So we can now run that now. Then we say, let's imagine that student one is Adebayo, and the grade is A, and you have student two, which is Kolawole, and the grade is B. So you can print student one display. Don't forget display is the display will say to return the student name and the student's grade. That's what display will do for you. And then student two also display. So if you run this now, to just give you the names and the grades, basically, right? Of course, we can also say we can upgrade the score and do all of that. Yeah, I think we did that in the previous video. So both students one and student two use the same methods, but with their own data, right? So that is that about instance methods, talking about the three methods. Then that takes us to class methods. So class methods are declared with the at class method decorator, and the first parameter is usually CLS, which represents the class, and it is used to access or modify class attributes. So or and create factory methods which are like alternate constructors. Then do not operate on individual object states. No self. So we use self for instance methods, but here we don't use self, right? So the syntax anywhere instead of self now you now have CLS. So and how do you know that you're using a class method? You define your class my class. Then once you see this at class method, you definitely know that you're going to have CLS to replace self here. So you now have defined class method CLS with whatever arguments you need. So you now use code using CLS as attribute and you pass that. Of course, if you run this, it's not giving any results, but it will run as if there's no with no error because we have used pass there to just say it's to make it how like to make it I don't want to use the word redundant. I'm trying to get the right word. Okay, so here now you have class, you create a class called school, and the school name is Greenwood High. So you can see now, we're talking about we're talking about class methods here, right? So you have school name equals Greenwood, and you initialize it, of course, and we still have self and student. So you still have that normal parameter, but then we are combining that now with the class method. So you define change school. Now, because of the class, once you see this class method here, so instead of self, you're going to have CLS, and then you have new name. So you have CLS the school underscore name is equal to new name. So we run this, and we are going to run it in the next day. So what is the role of CLS? It refers to the class itself, not an object. All right. And it is useful for updating class level data and ensuring changes apply to all objects of the class. So if you now come here now and say, the class is school. So you use school and then dot change school. You have the class called change school. So school dot change underscore school. And then before we had Greenwood High. Now we changed it to Springfield Academy. By the time we now run print school dot school name, it will no longer be Greenwood. It gives you Springfield Academy. So you can change like that if you so wish. Okay, so we have that like that. So it's changing the whole class. That's the class method. So every instance of school now shares the updated name. So that is what we have achieved with that. So when to use class level data, you use class level data when data should be shared across all objects. So I mean, if we are all in the same school and we just want to get the school information, it's the same for everybody, right? So that's class level data. And it is good for company or school names. It is good for counters, the number of objects created, and it is good for global settings. So it's more like the idea of global variable that we saw under variable scope in Python. So example, counting objects created. Imagine that we create a class of employee and we set the counter to 0. So we say count is 0. And you see, because this is not under, it is not defined under this initialization. Now you see that it's going to be global. That's the starting point. That is, so then we now initialize, we take just one argument, name. So we say self.name is equal to name. And what that is doing, so then now you now have employee.count, we say plus equals 1. So from this employee now, employee.count, of course, is 0. Plus equals 1 means the new employee count will now be 1, and like that. Then you now come here for the class method. You define total employees, CLS, and then you return CLS count. So if you run this code, okay, I can even copy this out now so that by the time I run it, I have a new cell. So I just say alternate. I use alternate enter for that. It creates this, and this has also been done. So I come here now, and I say print employee dot total employees. So you see total employees does the count, uses the class thing. So in this case now, because you're using total employees and it is a class method, so you're going to get 0 because 0 applies to everybody. Okay. But if you then go ahead and have E1 is equal to employee John, E2 employee Mary, and you now say print employee dot total employees. In that case now, because you're not using the class method like what we had in this case where we had employee dot total employees, which is the total method, it is going to give you the count of these employees now. So you just have that. So the first one, which is the first print, that's 0. But this second, and that's the class number. But here now you have specific cases. So I can even increase and go to say increase 3. Okay, good. I can even go to E4, right? and have maybe an employee called Jane. So in this case, now this is maybe I should just have left what we had there before. So Control Z, Z. Okay. So I then use alternate this, and this comes here now. So if I do this now, I'm going to get 4 employees. So for this one where we had employee.total employees, which is the class method, we get 0. That's the global value that was assigned. But when we come here now, we have 4 because oh, okay. I think it's incrementing like before. It's adding to what we had previously. Okay, okay. Yeah, because of, we have this incrementation going on here. So even this 0 has become 2 now. Okay, so that's why we have that. Then we have static methods too, which is declared with a static method, all right? And it do not take self or CLS. So you see, instance method takes self, class method takes CLS, static methods does not take either self or CLS, and it is declared using a static method, just like as class is declared this class method. So it will behave like normal functions, but grouped logically inside a class. And it is used for helper or utility methods. So class, you have my class, and then you say a static method. So in this case, there's no self or CLS. So you just have defined static method, argument one, argument two. And since you are passing, you can run it without error, but you're not getting any results per se. So in this case now, we have an example. You have class math-utils at static method. Then you define add x comma y, return x plus y. So you print math-utils dot add 3 comma 5, right? So in this case now, you know, see what's happening. Talking about static method, I use alternate enter so I can create another cell. So this has run now. So the math-utils class has been created and it is returning x plus y. So if you want to call that now, we just say math-utils dot this add now 3 comma 5 and we get 8. Of course, we can have another print like that. Okay. Okay, I can just take this the way it is, and this gives us 30. Match utils dot add 30 plus 20. That gives us 10 plus 20, that gives us 30. So here, comparing method types now. So we have feature decorator, instance method, none, class method, yes, at class method, static method at class method for decorator. For first argument, we have self object for self, which addresses object for instance method, and we have class, which addresses class for class method, and we have for static method, we don't have any first argument. Just like you see here, in this place now, we don't have anything like self or CLS like others. We just have the arguments directly. Whereas for class method, at least you see CLS somewhere. And for instance methods, you see self. Yeah. For instance method, you always see this self thing always showing up. Okay, so still comparing the methods. So can you access the instance? Instance method, yes. Class method, no. Static method, no. Can you access the class? Instance method, yes. Class method, yes. But static method, no. Then what is the typical use case? You want to get object behavior under instance method. Under class method, you want to get factory methods or counters. For static method, maybe you want to get utility or helper methods, right? So what are some common mistakes when we talk about this? So if you forget to use self in instance method, that leads to name error, right? Then if you try to access instance attributes in class methods, that's another mistake. Using self in static methods will raise an error because as far as you declare at static methods, you can't use self. Overusing static methods. So if logic belongs outside the class, then you have to keep it outside. So you can actually overuse the static methods. So what are some real life analogy of these things, of these methods? We have talked about this methods that we've been discussing. So real life analogy, instance method is like your personal diary, which is unique to you. Class method is like a school notice board, which is shared across everyone. Whereas class static method is like a calculator kept in the classroom. Anyone can use it, but it doesn't depend on the school or students. So anyone can use it at all. So we can have a mini project. Let's do a pizza project. So the goal is to use class method as a factory method, and we use static method for price calculation. So see this now. We create a class called pizza. The base price is 5, shared across all pizzas. So all pizzas, we have the least price for any pizza is 5, right? And then you have the instance. You initialize, you have self size and toppings. So the toppings is you have an empty, except you really declare what the kind of topping you want. Then you say self.size is size and self.toppings is toppings. Then you create another function called display. And what it does is to say pizza size is whatever size and toppings is whatever toppings. If you don't specify the toppings, it automatically gives you this blank thing. Then you have at class method for the class method. Then you define from size and expected. As expected, you have CLS and you have one argument, which is the size. And the factory method returns the class size and this empty square brackets. Then you also have static method. So we are using everything together. So you define, so here now you have a function which calculate price based on size and number of toppings. So you now see size multiplier now is, if it is small, that's 1, medium is 1.5, large is 2. And what that returns is pizza.base price. That base price, this 5 is available to all pizzas as you see. Then we now have the size multiplier by the size. All right. So this box now, then plus number of toppings times 2, like that. So, and if you do that, okay, for the usage, I want to copy this out so I can run it in another cell. So first of all, we establish that, okay, let me use alternate enter. So we can now have this. So for the usage, you have the first pizza. So you have P1 pizza from size. So, we are using the class method here now. Pizza dot from size. And that is, if you go for medium, that's one, the multiplier is going to be 1.5. So you can also print P1 dot display. So that will be displayed. And then let me do that separately. So for the display now, just enter this and it says pizza size because you have chosen medium. So the toppings will just be the way it is because the display just says pizza is this and topping is self-topping. Since you didn't say anything about toppings, it remains like that. Alternate enter, I paste this now. And I have the price. I also want to calculate the price. I have pizza to calculate price, which is the static method. So we have large, and then for toppings, we now have 3, right? So in this case now, number of toppings, that's 3 times 2, 6, right? Plus base price is 5. So 5 times the size, because it is large. So 5 times 2 is 10. Then this number of toppings, 3 times 2 is 6. So I think we're going to get like 16 or something like that. Yeah. So price of large pizza with 3 toppings will just simply be 16. So so that's a mini project. So you can use this kind of idea to do your own project too for whatever you may be interested in doing in this regard. So with this, I come to the end of this very interesting video about class and static methods in object-oriented programming, where we have seen instance methods, class methods, and static methods. The analogy in particular would help you drive the point home because we see that instance method is like your personal library. It is unique to you. If you don't, nobody gets to see it except you so wish. Then class method is like a school notice board, which is shared across everyone. And static method is like a calculator kept in the classroom. Anyone can use it, but it does not depend on the school or student. So with this, we come to the end of this very interesting video. Let me know how helpful this is for you. And if there's something like in trials, feel very free to let me know. All right. So if you have subscribed already, thank you so much. If you have not, of course, you'll be missing a whole lot. So go ahead, subscribe to the channel. And of course, hit the notification bell so you can always get alerted each time a new video is released. You can take it a step further, click on join, you become a member of the channel, and then we can interact at a higher level beyond just subscription, because there are some special privileges you stand to gain as a member of the channel. All right. So ultimately, don't forget to like, share, and comment so that more people can have access to the great content I have going on here. Till I come your way again, keep doing Python right. Bye.